Welcome everyone to episode 43 of the Smith's Fitness Podcast. Just me and Jacob here. Call me Jake.
Yeah.
Blake's had to go and get an AIDS test or something. Was it an AIDS test?
I think it's an AIDS test.
Yeah. Blake's going to get an AIDS test, so it's just us two because the other boys reckon they're busy.
Yeah.
I reckon they're full of shit.
I wonder how an AIDS test works, because you think if you pass the AIDS test, is that a good thing? Like if they a green light, you're like,
No, that's green. Well, it's green for AIDS.
That's what I mean. So you'd be confusing though, wouldn't it? Because you'd think green's a good sign. You'd be like, yeah, oh wait.
Well, it depends.
It does depend.
They're probably testing if you have it, not if you don't have it. Anyway, fingers crossed for Blake.
Yeah.
We have a bit of a different podcast today, but before we get to that, what's been happening with your training? What are you doing? What have you lifted this week? Talk me through it.
Yeah, lately it's been a little bit different all over the place. I started like a big hypertrophy block again. So like 4 times 8, 4 times 10, 4 times 12. So
lots of volume.
So lots of volume, basically.
Yeah.
It's good, it's helping at the moment, but I'm thinking I'm going to go back to 3 full body days. I just can't handle the upper and lower. I just find it so boring.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it. I like full body. There's something about
nice.
Just like, even if when it's stuff like deadlift and overhead press on the same day, like stuff like that, I really dig. I just feel more, well-rounded when I train like that. And I'm just killing. I really want to get back. I'm into running. I've been doing 5Ks pretty hard.
Yeah.
So my second one's today. So I want to work on that.
All right.
Yeah. What about you? I've seen you doing lots of body weight.
I've been doing some body weight sessions, some kettlebell. I've been getting the mace out. The mace has been fun. What else have I been doing? I've saw the physio on Monday about the knee. It's been giving me a little bit of jip. So I haven't run too much this week. I ran a half marathon very bloody slowly last Friday.
How slowly?
Like 6:18 per K. So like 2 hours 15 or something. No, 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours 10ish. So like 20 odd minutes slower than I've done it. So I've done it as a 5:08 average. When I did it in 16:18.
Still pretty good considering.
Average.
Like when I did that 15 the other day, it took me 2 hours, and I was like, and I stopped a lot though, but I was like.
Well, that's at 6 and a bit. I didn't stop. I was just cruising.
Yeah.
But that was alright, and I felt my knee a little bit, but then afterwards I felt it a fair bit. And I could get away with it, like I could deal with it, but I don't want to have to. That's the thing.
Where was it though? Do you road run a lot, or do you find it worse?
All my running's been road running this sort of lately.
Do you think that plays into it? You think it's definitely part of it?
No, not really.
No?
Nah. Like my physio said, a little bit of lack of mobility work. I wouldn't say lack of strength, but just more so not doing what I should to make sure I'm injury free. So he sort of told me things I knew. I sort of know, like pay a bit more attention to hip flexors, like glute strength's there, but like adding in some single leg stance stuff and some soft tissue sort of protocols, some foam rolling, some trigger ball, that sort of stuff. So it's getting there. So we're gonna see tonight. We might go on a longish run tonight and see how it goes.
Sweet.
But yeah, got to get my shit together for the cake to cake, man. We'll see how that goes. So I've got a month, and I've only been running I say only because it's decreased from 60, 70 to 30 Ks. This week's been 7 Ks so far, and it's Friday. So it's decreased a lot, so I need to get the Ks back up very quickly. And then obviously you don't want to run heaps the week before you're about to run 120 over 3 days, so we'll see. Guys, today we are going to do an episode. We're going to do, what would you call it, like a profile?
You would feel like we definitely should have come up with a name, but a profile is.
I sort of want it to be like strong people we should know about.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's.
So obviously, us talking about what's going on in the gym can get pretty stale. We do our cross training, we do our powerlifting comps. We can sort of go over the same thing. So I've come up with a bit of a list of certain figures in the history of sports, history of strength training, and we're basically just going to do a profile on them. So today we are starting with an old strongman. most of this, well, all this research is straight off the internet. There's a great documentary series from Rogue that gave us a lot of information. But don't take any of this as absolute fact, because it's from people's recollections of other people's stories, of their recollections, all that sort of shit. So we're going to go through the life and times of Arthur Saxon. Have you ever heard of him before?
I've heard the name, that's it. That's all I've heard. And I think it must have, like, more than likely, I would have heard the name, just someone like mentioning it. Like a strong man probably talking about it, you know what I mean? Like, and that's it.
Yeah. And I feel like as people that are like, this is what we've devoted our life to, sort of. Like we're strength coaches, we're personal trainers, you know, we're exercise scientists, whatever we are, we should probably know about these guys that preceded us. And I don't know much about these guys, so I thought some good content for the potty, teach some other people, and it's not just us rambling.
It's niche-y as well.
Well, yeah, it's up our alley, isn't it? And I think these are things that we should know. So today is all about Arthur Saxon from here on out, unless we go on mad tangents, which, fuck, knowing us, we probably will. All right, so there's going to be a little bit of me reading. We'll try not to make it too much like I'm just narrating it to you. Yeah. So, Jacob, mate, interrupt me as much as you want.
Oh, I will do my best.
Yeah. All right. So, our boy was named Arthur Hennig, originally. Hennig. He was born in 1878 in Leipzig, in the Kingdom of Saxony in the German Empire.
I feel like you have to say that with an accent.
Leipzig. Bro, what the fuck is Saxony?
I don't know, but I like
You know all these places like, Europe's just fucking wild, man, because you look into it and I'm like, what's Saxony? Where's Saxon? Why are we called Anglo-Saxons, alright? And then I'm like, why are we Caucasian? Where the fuck is, like, the Caucasus are like Armenia and shit. Why are we called Caucasians?
This is the thing, like,
I don't understand it. Why are we Anglo-Saxons?
Like,
are we German and English?
I don't know about that, but I think for me, it's like, I had this conversation a little while ago with someone, and they just kind of looked at me weird, but I was like, a lot of the thing that I like to think about is that, like, you know, those words, you know, came from, I mean, a lot of the time, something like that will be a derivative from something, and that'll be why it's similar, but when someone's just something, it pretty much comes up, you know, like, it's the kind of thing that someone's just come up with, and it's crazy to think that, like, before that, no one's ever used that phrase or said that word, and someone's somehow come up with it. And, like, did one person come up with it? Like you said, Anglo-Saxons, like, what?
Saxony seems to be like a state in the German Empire, but then at some point, they, like, took over all the other empires, so it was just Saxony, and then they got put back in their box. So then they were like, Saxony was just a state again. But then, like, back in these times, it wasn't even Germany, it was Prussia. And then you're like, well, what the fuck was Prussia, man? Europe's wild.
That's what I mean.
They just change their borders every fucking decade.
Yeah, it's confusing. But someone just obviously...
I kind of love it though, like, when I've been to Europe 3 times, twice properly.
How did you not go properly?
I just went to England 1 time. The other 2 times I went to England and Europe. Well, England is, you know what I fucking mean. I went to the mainland. I went to the mainland twice, you're free. So, like, but it's just wild. It's like, what country used to be here? Anyway, he was born in fucking Saxony, our boy Arthur. I just want to go over, so 1870s, what was happening in the 1870s? Franco-Prussian War, so France got beat again, as usual. That's just what happens. The British Empire started, this is like the decade that marked what they call new imperialism, which is basically them taking over Africa and Asia, as opposed to them like just fucking finding continents and shit way back in the day. Bulgaria and Romania declared independence from the Ottoman Empire. There's a fucking Anglo-Afghan war. Dude, there's an Anglo-Zulu war. England's just fighting every fucker. There's a war of the Pacific, which I've never heard about, between Chile, Bolivia and Peru. Now we're getting to some inventions, man. Alexander Graham Bell, the prototype of the telephone, invented, 1876. So these are the times that Arthur's living in. First version of the light bulb. I wonder what the first version was. Like, how is it a version of a light bulb that isn't just a light bulb?
You must have looked.
It's like, it makes light. And I was like,
Yeah, it's interesting to know what it would have looked like.
Maybe it didn't have a glass case around it or something.
It probably did.
Any fucking
Probably
way.
did.
He also invented the phonograph. What's the phonograph? Don't know what that is. The steam drill.
The phonograph. I
Google that shit.
I don't know what that is.
Dude, you know what it's loose? The headphone jack.
He.
The headphone jack. Nah, not Thomas Edison, but this is just the shit that come up on Wikipedia. Headphone jack, bro. And it's still used today.
Headphone jack, where?
6.35 millimeter. Is that what's used today? That's what Wikipedia reckons anyway. So our boy Arthur drops out of school at age of 14. I reckon that'd probably be pretty decent back in the day.
Oh, dude. That's what. Dude.
What's a phonograph?
Fucking
A record player?
Yeah, but the fucking cool one.
The one with the speaker thing?
Yeah, that you're about to be like.
That thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
that thing.
Yeah. That's it. That's the thing.
Right.
It actually looks exact. Do that again. It's identical. It looks the same.
Oh,
yeah, that's awesome.
So our boy dropped out of school. So that's the shit that's going on at this time. He dropped out of school 14.
I wonder what that was.
I feel like 14, like people were having, like they'd just be having kids, you know. 14,
But I
the
wonder
average
what-
lifespan would be fuck all.
Yeah, but I just wonder what it would have been like back then to drop out at, age
Well,
14.
I just ran through it, bro.
No, like the age 14. Do you think that would have been, or like, do you reckon back then they were like, shit, he stayed in school till he was 14? Like that was probably like an
Yeah,
achievement.
probably.
You know what I mean? Like,
He studied stone sculpture, and he started fashioning some weights out of stone and began training in whatever the fuck is a potato cellar. What's a potato cellar?
first of all, because we can't glaze over this. Like,
Is it just a
It's
basement
one-
with dirt that they grow potatoes in?
we're gonna get to that.
Did I say potatoes?
You definitely said potatoes. the first thing to talk about here is the fact that we come in here and we lift weights and we take that shit for granted. The amount of times I've heard someone be like, there needs to be another 10 or something.
you should get me some calibrated
This
plates.
motherfucker just built his own and was like, I'm just gonna lift all the weights I can.
I can understand both sides of the argument. A root cellar structure, usually underground, partially underground, used for storage of vegetables. Right, it's a basement they're using as a garden, basically. That's what a potato cellar is.
Wow.
Yeah, but I know what you mean when it comes to those plates because I'm like, no, these plates, they're fucking close enough to 20 kilos. They fit on the bar. No one's maxed out a bar yet because if I only had bumpers, I could understand. And it was like, 180 and it was like, that was it.
Yeah.
Where some gyms are like that.
Fuck yeah.
But we could fit 260, probably I don't know, 340, 260, 300, 340.
I saw like Jamie pull 250 when he was here the other day, but he had he had a bump at each side, but the rest of them.
I put up that video of Nathan that had 260 on, and then he could get definitely 2 more plates each side, maybe even 3. So that's taking it up towards mid 300s with the plates we've got. Now you could get more on if we had calibrated plates because they're thinner, but still, mate, you could be like Arthur and have to fucking make them. At 14 years old, he's making weights.
100%.
At what point are they just rocks though, really? So,
Yeah.
at the age of 15, he's got 2 younger brothers called Kurt and Herman. These are strong names, I reckon. Herman's a strong name.
Herman's next level.
They used to do strength contests in the family's backyard. I want to know if you did any shit with your... How many brothers you got? Your one brother?
I got 2 brothers.
2 brothers? You do any shit with them? Like, we used to play fucking rugby, like contact rugby. That probably helped me out, playing rugby against someone who's like 5 years older than me. He used to belt me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ever do any shit like that? With the
So
boys?
they're both definitely even the younger brother is like 10 years older than me, so it kind of wasn't in the same ballpark. They moved.
The younger of the 2 older brothers.
Yeah, so he's 34 and then my other brother's like 30.
So they're fucking.
So they were too old for me.
They're
Also,
like men, bro.
also one of them's like fat and the other guy has asthma. So like, if it did come down to it, I would have won the stamina.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, my brother used to towel me up until probably around 14, 15, and then it was like, I'm not playing against you anymore, man.
Yeah.
Because he obviously didn't take rugby or anything seriously.
Yeah.
Took basketball seriously for a little bit. He used to towel me up in basketball. But then as I started like getting a bit of technique, I was never that big back then. Like I wasn't like imposing or anything, but as soon as I started getting a little bit of technique and it wasn't as fun, and then he was into like teenager shit, it was like, man,
Yeah.
all good. But We used to play some mean as fucking, even like pillow rugby. Get like all the socks and put them in one sock. Make like a little pillow rugby ball. And then just like run at each other and stuff in the activity room.
You're almost like Arthur Saxon. You're creating your own rugby ball.
Right, calm down.
Level. So, see, I think my older brother would still like win if it was, if it was like if we were Swiss belt wrestling, he would probably win. But he'd have to catch me first. So you got to ups and downs.
Yep. So at the age of 15, they're doing contests in their backyard, right? Anyone 15 or younger could compete for 10 pfennig, which is about 2.5 cents. What the fuck's a pfennig?
Pfennig. I don't like that. I don't like how it feels.
P's and F's together, bro. So it must have been, because what's the German currency? Oh, it would have went to marks, and now it's just euros, right?
Yeah.
Euros. That's how you say it in German.
Is it really?
Euros. So that's backwards, bro.
You're just saying Oreos.
Yeah, pretty much. So back then it was 10 pfennig, which is 2.5 cents. If you beat them in a challenge, a lifting challenge or a belt wrestling. Now we're going to Google this.
Yeah.
Swiss belt wrestling. It was a game. You're wearing a belt attached to a ring at each side, and the goal was to toss your opponent to the ground. All right, we're Googling it. We're getting on YouTube. Swiss belt wrestling. What do you reckon it is? I thought it was the one where you hold onto a ring, but what that describes isn't. You hold onto like a ring and then you just try and fucking throw them around.
I don't know about that.
Swiss belt wrestling. Oh, so you wear the belt. Dude, it's still a fucking legit thing. Dude, this is a legit sport.
The great art of belt wrestling.
It's full size this shit.
Man grips in.
Oh, you put your hands under?
Grips that they use. You almost see their hips start far back.
Dude, Kyrgyzstan versus the Ukraine. Flip this fucker. Flip him!
Oh my god.
I wonder why this didn't take off. Bro, don't do replays. What's going on?
What's the replay?
Flip this fucker. I like to think that Arthur Saxon did this way better
100%.
and would flog these boys.
I don't understand what they're trying to do. Oi!
That's it. Do you feel like...
We're not trying.
No, we're doing it, bro. I'm just going to go hands on your hips.
Dude, we're not doing it.
I'm going to go hands on your hips.
I will like this.
Stop saying it like that.
Stop saying it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that close.
We're doing it. Hold
we're not
my
doing
hips.
Only if we do it in jogs.
So that's Swiss belt wrestling. That didn't look that fun.
I was disappointed.
I feel like, like the gymnastics rings, like
I would
hold on to
watch
that and
it.
then just be like fucking rage.
Yeah, but
try to throw
that's
people
hectic
around.
though, because then someone could just let go on purpose and fuck your shit up.
I feel like Swiss belt wrestling would be way better if someone knows what they're doing and the other person doesn't. And it's just like, hey, yep, fuck them off.
I mean, pretty much. I was disappointed in that. That was very weird.
That was shit. No wonder it didn't take off.
Yeah.
Alright, the brothers were never defeated. I reckon they rigged it.
100%.
And once, these are the funny things, like, how is this a story? How does this get written on the internet by someone 100 and God knows how many years later that somehow is part of the story? They were never defeated to teach a dandy who was arrogantly wearing fine clothes for a match. How dare he?
Oh my god.
How dare he? The brothers prepared a mud puddle into which Arthur hurled the boy. Dude, how's that been written? Like, who's... So let's just say, there's a dude there who's the dandy, who wore the fine clothes, and there's two brothers.
Yeah.
And for some reason... Actually, one of the brothers did live long life, so he lived to like the 1950s or something, so...
Okay.
So he could have told people about it.
He could have told people about
But
it.
still, it's just funny that that's what comes up as part of when I Wikipedia this shit for like an hour this week.
You do wonder how the information is sourced. Like,
Yeah,
is it
it's
written
fucking
somewhere
good
in a
though.
book or something, and yeah.
It's good though, man.
It is.
Some of the so I got this in the wrong order, which is bound to happen.
Yeah.
Most of the training when they were younger was kettlebells and ring weights. Ring weights are sort of a kettlebell, but it's like just a block. Well, this is what when I googled it. There's a lot of what fucking Google says going on here, right?
There is.
It's like a block of weight and it's just got like a ring, like that moves attached to it.
Oh yeah, I know. What
So it's sort of like a kettlebell, but
and
a
you usually have
kettlebell.
like the weight written on it. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
So a kettlebell is sort of like more like one whole piece of something, and this is two pieces with a ring attached to it.
And
So the ring moves. The ring.
Imagine doing snatches with those. Imagine that wrist banging.
Oh,
dude.
It's hitting my wrist. Don't care.
Yeah, that's it. This is all we've got. It's all I can make.
Yeah, man.
In 10 minutes.
So that's what they were. So mostly one-handed implements. Doing lots of bench presses and tying.
So there was no imbalances back in the 1800s.
Oh, bro, nah. Tying smaller weights onto the end of solid barbells, and even on occasion they fell off. So, when Herman was 16, reports say he could bench press 100 kilos, holding 250 kilo kettlebells, which is absolutely fucking outrageous.
What a finger length is on this man? How did he do that?
I don't know. At the age of 11, Kurt could swing 50 kilos, which is still hectic.
Too hectic. Oh my god.
Like some of these things, some of like those ones, I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm skeptical on that. But
I feel like it's hard to tell how much weight someone's lifting when they've like welded it and you know what I mean, like fucking just forged it out of
part
stone.
of me is like,
you know?
where did they get how?
And how did they weigh it?
Think about like back in the days, just going like, oh, can anyone get me a 50 kilo kettlebell? Dude, who's making that?
Well, it was called a kettlebell back then still.
I think so. But how hard would it be, right? Think about, you've got some fuckers mining this shit and then like smelting it down to make it into something like a kettlebell, not like some shit that's actually useful.
Yeah.
And then a kid's got it.
Exactly. And then like, is there a transaction? How much did it cost? Like, did you have to, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
How many, what was it?
Where the fuck are they getting these weights from, man?
Schmillings was it? How do you say, was it schmillings?
Spennings. So, during this time, the gym was being moved around from the basement into an apartment. So it was in a basement of an apartment, and then people in the apartment were like, hey, what's going on down there? Because they're smashing weights around. Then they took it into an apartment before they cracked the roof, cracked the floor and damaged the roof of the one below them. And the light fell down or some shit. And it was around this age of about 16, Arthur joined the Atlas Club. That's a strong name.
It is.
Strong name.
Strong.
Where there were professional wrestlers and other weightlifters. So I don't know if that's belt wrestlers or Greco-Roman or whatever it is. I want to know what's the most random sort of spot you've had a gym set up. Have you had any in the living rooms, in the backyards?
So, in terms of non-functionally, non-functionally,
Yeah.
I have, like at the moment, I have a squat rack like kind of in my kitchen, and it's got like a barbell on it and stuff,
Yep.
like all my gym stuff's there. So I have done like something once or twice there, especially during COVID, but for me, it was probably the garage in my house, and it was like
Garage is standard.
So that's all the like I posted heaps of videos from when I was in there, and it was like it worked.
Yeah, a pretty good setup during the old shutdowns, eh?
I was lucky. It was not too bad, but I had heaps of bumpers, and I had a squat rack that could only take 150. So
Yeah.
I just had to do stupid volume.
Could actually only take it, or that's what it said?
That's what it said, but also like when
Test it out.
if I benched 100, like over 100, when I like put it back in,
Sketchy.
It shakes. Like you're like, I might sort of kill myself if I'm not careful. So that's why I was doing sets of like 20 with like 100 on squats and shit.
We had one in the in like the pool table. We had a pool table room. It was sort of like a theatre room, but had a pool table and a projector in there. And we had one in there. It was my brother's first sort of gym setup, and it was like this rubber band thing. It was like one of those all over body benches. So it had chest press, you could turn into a fly, leg extension, hammy curl, but it was all these, almost like a figure eight rubber like weight. That was the resistance. So you put it on one, put it on the other, and then you would stretch it out as you did the exercise, and that was the resistance.
That's weird.
Which sounds like it's not going to last very long. It didn't, because eventually it got thrown out, and I got like one of those orbit benches,
Okay.
like typical one, bench press, you can incline it, leg extension, hammer curl, just all plate loaded, standard barbell.
I can find one on Marketplace right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Real skinny bench. I fucked up a couple of the walls down the hallway.
Trying to bring it in.
Yeah, bringing it from outside into the activity room.
Yeah.
So where we grew up, we had my sister's bedroom, then the hallway, and then my brother's bedroom, my bedroom, and like an activity room, like a kids' TV room.
Yeah.
And I chucked it in there, but scraped the fuck out of the walls.
Jesus.
Mum wasn't happy.
She doesn't sound like she would be. I love those setups, like the ones you're talking about, the all-in-one pec deck one. It's like I'm gonna work out at home, but not really packaged. You know what I mean?
the upright sitting ones.
Yeah,
I didn't have that one. The bench
The
press
amount of
style.
times the amount of times you've gone around to someone's house,
Always broken.
and it's like covered in
Never
spiders.
safe.
It's never
It's
been
never safe.
100%. Anyway.
So, in the late 1890s, Eugene Sandow, who is probably the most famous sort of, it's not ancient, but historical strongman. Bit of a bitch, to be fair. We'll get to him. We'll probably do an episode on him, to be fair. Glad we didn't start with him, and you'll find out why. He was billed as the strongest man in the world. So he's going around doing these exhibitions. I'm the strongest man in the world. Everyone sort of knows this guy. A fella named Arno Patchke, I think that's how you say it. Arno, another strong name. He saw the interest that the public had in Saxon, in Sandow, and said, we could make some money from this. And he thought about starting his own strongman act. So when he goes back, so that's in England, he goes back to Saxony. He's at the Atlas Club and he sees the potential in Arthur and recruits him and another man by the name of Oscar Hilgenfeld.
And I'm pretty sure that you had to have a stash.
Mustache.
You had to have a stash.
Did they all? Yeah.
I think they all did.
Yeah.
I think they all did, yeah.
And those that's just, he sort of is, those like old strongman that they draw on like Family Guy?
Yeah.
It's pretty much, that's exactly what all the pictures look like.
Pretty much.
That's how they looked with the like one piece, what would you call it? Like jock length bottoms into either a singlet top or just the one side. I love one side.
The one side one goes hard, and it's never.
Is that like Andre the Giant shit?
Yeah, it's never anyone in like hell good shape that wears them.
There's all a bit of chunk about it,
There's always a
mate.
bit of chunk about it, and I know exactly. But it's funny, do you reckon because that looks to us now, we think that looks kind of weird. Do you think now what people wear in powerlifting, do you think general people look at it?
Fuck
That's fucking
yeah.
weird. I walked into the shop with my knee sleeves the other day and I came out and Dylan was here and he was like, "Did you just go to the shop in your knee sleeves?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "No fucks given, man." I was like, "Dude."
Yeah, I wouldn't walk
I
into
didn't
shops in my knee, but you didn't even realise.
Bro, I had Ollie shoes on as well. And
Oh, what a mate. You gym, mate.
Bro, I had long black socks on and there was chalk all over.
Oh,
me. I was
you're
getting
a
the
fuck.
dirtiest looks.
You're a fuckwit. So Arno, Oscar, and Arthur become the first version of the Saxon trio. They start putting on shows, basically. They chucked up a challenge. Arthur's about 19 at this point. They chucked up a challenge. They're in Sheffield.
I call bullshit on this part, for sure.
Dude, they're in Sheffield, in the north of England. Now, I'm just thinking, this dude does so much travel, and then it just got me thinking, it must have taken months to get from. They got trains, I suppose, but they got to get a boat across the channel to get to England, and then they got to get another train from. Well, I assume they go from France to, was it Dover?
I'm not too well versed on maybe the role that the Department of Transport played back then.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
dude, he's travelling fucking everywhere. So he was in Saxony, then now he's in England. Old mate was in England, went back to Saxony, now he's back in England. The north of England, so they're in Sheffield. It's actually where my grandfather was born.
Maybe he was there.
Wouldn't have been there.
Okay.
A little bit, maybe his father was there. Great-grandfather could have been there at the Sheffield Grand Music Hall in February 1898. Saxon and the Saxon trio, they put out a challenge. They challenged Eugene Sandow or any other man in the world for any amount, a match to be ratified at the Sporting News office. I don't know what that means. Man and money ready. So come with your cash, motherfucker, is what they said.
What was it called again? Fennings.
Come with your fennings,
Come
bro.
with your fennings.
You reckon, like, but what if they've got that? This is what happens in 1890s, bro. So he comes with his Deutsches, his fennings, his fucking whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they're like, we only have British pounds here. Do they have, like, oh, just go to the train station, there's an exchange, like, where do they change the money?
Yeah.
Is there an exchange rate?
Exactly. Well, I agree. That's the thing. And where did the rate start to? Where did the rate come from? When was that introduced? And then I'm 100% with you. And I'm confused by the fact, like, when think about it, like when you said when he was traveling, what was it like then? Like, how much did you pay to get on the train? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that sort of thing would have been interesting to know. Like, how much was it costing him a lot of money to travel?
Saxon is like the sort of eastern side of Germany as well. You got to go across the whole of Germany, the whole of France.
Yeah, but think about it now. If you were to do that, this would be an expensive trip. It would be an expensive trip. What he's done, it would be very.
Oh man, EasyJet goes hard though. To be fair.
No, but compared to obviously, you know, like what was he paying in those days?
Dude, a train from London to York will cost you like, best part of 50 quid, I think. I remember being like, oh, that's steep. When I had to go from London
do you think
to
you just like threatened the train driver, like I'll just bench press you if you don't let me.
bench press this shit.
Bench.
So anyway, they chucked out this challenge, and then this is pretty ballsy move. Sandow's in the crowd at one of these shows.
Well, hold on, we've missed something here, haven't we?
What do we? What?
You've not
Bro,
read-
we probably missed the fucking.
You've not
lot,
read
to
the
be
first
fair.
part though, right? Because it says that Saxon lifted. Is this the part we're reading? Oh no.
No, we're here, bro.
Oh, we're here. I thought
We're here.
Okay,
We're here.
good.
So Sandow's famous. He's about 30 years old. Saxon is 19. Just a young pup.
He's a young pup. He is.
So all of a sudden, Sandow's in the audience, and he says, "You know what? Let's fucking run. Let's run this thing." So he accepts the challenge. All right. So a little bit of shit went down in Sheffield. First, Saxon lifted a 110-pound kettle weight. Let's call it kettlebell from now on, hey? To the shoulder, holding it there with only his little finger, while a 160-pound man climbed over his back and sat on the weight.
Bullshit. 100%. There's no fucking way that happens.
Bro, this is...
Dude, there's no way that happened. I bet 100 shillings that never fucking happens.
Fucking all my fennings.
Oh,
Right.
There's no way that. There's no way.
Saxon then bench pressed the 270-pound total. That's a small man, to be fair.
270 pound bench press. Can you imagine? This motherfucker would put
Dude,
his
that's
shirt
way
on
more.
before you could drop a coin.
That's way... No, this is... He does way more than that. Sandow refused to even try this stunt. This is in front of a crowd. So Sandow's like, nah, fuck that noise. Then Arthur says he'll use his whole hand this time, perform the same feat with a 180-pound kettlebell. And then old mate Hilgenfeldt, he's part of the trio, who was 188 pounds,
Jesus.
jumped on top of it, climbed on top of it, to make it what? 368-pound total. He didn't stand erect with that, but did bench press it to arm's length.
I don't know.
We're going to go over what the fuck a bench press is too. And then we're going to go out there and do
I'm gonna try some.
pretty average ones, bro. It's so hard.
Dude,
It's so bad. It looks so bad.
Can we just not say erect though? Can we just talk about standing up total?
We're going to
That's making me
stand erect.
super uncomfortable.
He stood erect. Sandow, after testing the kettlebell weight, declined to repeat the lift, which you just don't do that back in the day. That is, that's not good.
Yeah, during everyone calling him a pussy.
Yeah,
boy then.
pussy! Dude from the back, pussy!
Pussy!
So finally, Arthur bench pressed a 264-pound barbell on his second attempt.
We are in Australia, so should we be trying to put some kind of context?
Yeah,
to the fact
fuck,
that
man,
they're
all the
kilos.
pounds and stuff so annoying. That is over 100 kilos, people.
Yeah, what'd you say? 260?
264.
Yeah, that's like 120, man. That is
Round about.
Yeah, that's about 120.
Oh, 220 is 100.
Yeah, so that's
So
120.
yeah,
That is
round
120.
that.
Mm.
Sandow was like, yeah, give us a go. It took him 5 tries. And he did eventually get it to arm's length,
Good.
but he couldn't stand erect.
Oh.
He could not stand erect, he could only stand limp.
Oh my god. Yeah, the semi on.
He's only semi-lifted it.
Oh my god.
So he didn't lift the shit. It was an incomplete lift. So the bench press will go over. We will go over it. But yeah, he didn't lift it properly. So Sandow had been defeated. All right. So after Saxon began saying like, I'm the shit, I beat Sandow in his like advertising posters, so people would be like, wow, here, come and see the world's strongest man.
Yeah.
And then Sandow was like, oh, get fucked, I am. Basically. So,
pretty much, yeah.
Dude, this is why he's a bitch.
Yeah, but there would have been no like internet beef back then too, hey? So
He would have had to say it in person.
Yeah.
Or he would have had to tell, like, just imagine, that would be a good skit to do. Someone's like, there's a guy named Twitter. And you tell Twitter, and then Twitter goes and says like, oh, the Saxon says Sandow's a cheat.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how information would have got around back then. And I mean, like you said, they would have had
newspapers and posters and
yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly as well.
People standing on milk crates and people standing on high horses and stuff. That's where all these things come from.
Just yelling from buildings. Sandow's a fucking pussy.
Yeah, Sandow's a pussy. The main reason he's a pussy is he sues him, takes him to court.
Yeah, wow.
But like, what sort of court do you go to? Like, we've got shit to deal with, dudes. Can you fuck off with your games?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and not to mention how I wonder what the court was like back then. You know, how organised were things? You know what I mean? It's like,
well, one dude's like, I'm not even from here.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what? Hey, could he even speak English?
I feel like, you know, these are all really good questions.
What the? Anyway, so Sandow takes him to court. And his claim is that the barbell in question was loaded with mercury or whatever it was, and it would shift. So it was like a globe bell, and you could, and there's a point to this later as well.
Okay.
So you could fill it up with weight. So Sandow's saying like, my weights are normally like one solid thing. I think this is what he was getting at, or it was a barbell, so it doesn't shift in weight, but because it's filled with a mercury or a lead, it shifts as you try to lift it.
And he's claiming,
that's what he said, that was his claim. And he said that he got it to arm's length, and the judge said, well, if you got it to arm's length, you lifted it, because he's a dum-dum, he doesn't know what a fucking bench press is.
But see, this is why I'm curious
He was
about
paid off, bro.
Yeah, but I'm curious about this bench press anyway. How do you even get it to the point before you even stand erect with it?
Swing it, or you just fucking curl it to your
a
shoulder.
barbell though?
It can be anything.
What did you use? What have you
I've used the kettlebell before. I tried to use a bar. I did a couple with a barbell last week and was like, what is this? And then imagined it being 10 times heavier.
So what about like the muscle groups that we're hitting with a bench press?
Just lumbar discs, all right? Just if that's all it's hitting.
All right, no oblique
No,
activation.
dude, it's fucking rough.
Awesome.
So anyway, the judge is like, nah, I'm going with Sandow on this one. And makes Arthur pay a £25 fine.
That would have been so much
that's
back
a
then. So
house.
that's.
You feel like you reckon you could Google like
How much? Yeah, the conversion.
House price. We'll just go flat 1900.
You're going the hell wrong way about this. I'm going to go this way. Because not to mention, you've got then got to make the conversion
In
from pounds.
What houses used to cost? Dude. It was like $8 or something. Holy hell.
I've got a more accurate.
Price of a home in Britain then and now.
It wasn't a house. I've got a more accurate thing here.
Oh,
Apparently.
well, don't tell me that.
Well, no, but it's still very impressive.
Except all cookies. Fuck off. Get out of it.
Bro, I love cookies, except all of them.
No. So anyway, this is what I've come up with. £750 just before World War II, so a couple of decades later. £750, and now they're about £200,000.
Yeah. Well, I actually looked up the amount.
Oh,
So
okay.
it said £25 in the 1800s is equivalent to is equivalent in purchasing power
Yes.
to about £2,100.
Oh, that's not that bad.
It's almost $5,000. So it's almost $5,000 though. But yeah, it's not a house, but you'd still back
People
then.
get, on that like RBT show, people get like charged less for like being on drugs and driving.
Yeah. You'd still be pissed off though.
This dude won the fucking thing.
Yeah, you'd be fucking.
So he had to pay £25 or a couple of G's, and was no longer able to claim that he'd beaten him, and he couldn't say, I'm the strongest man, come and see my show. That's rough.
Do you not think that there's like, here's another thing, because obviously you're feeling as though that Sandow like bitched out and he's been the asshole here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said about the information that is on this site and we're getting it from wherever, we're kind of just relying on
Internet
it.
don't lie, man.
Yeah, well, anyway, don't you think that in a way that, I mean, it's kind of hard to know whether or not, I mean, it sounds like bullshit, but it's hard to know whether or not there maybe would have been some mischiefery, some
tomfoolery.
tomfoolery.
I say tomfoolery.
With the barbell, you never know, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, definitely.
Apparently
that was all the shit, like people were lifting fake weights and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Some Castleberries going
I was
around.
going to say straight away, man, had some athlete exes back in the day.
But there is something funny that does come up a little bit later. So he can't say that. Like that's why I think Sandow's a bitch. When we do an episode on Sandow, let's really take his side and be like, Arthur Saxon,
100%.
how dare he?
Yeah.
Heinous criminal, and he was a German.
We should do a battle rap. I'll say Arthur Saxon, you can play Sandow.
Fuck yeah. But I wonder if that story comes up that he got beaten and that he sues him when you look at
From his
Sandow.
perspective,
But there's a lot more history about Sandow, like he was the boy back, like he's the one that people would bring up if they say like...
It's going to be fucked up like, if you look him up and then you're going to be like, oh shit.
And never did he once get beaten by Arthur Saxon.
You like play it back and be like, Sandow's a bitch.
So eventually Hilgenfeld and Patchke...
His name's a gold.
You just got to lean into them.
Yeah.
They left the trio. They had a few lineup changes until Arthur was like, get my boys in, and got his brothers Kurt and Herman, his younger brothers, and that is what's typically known as the Arthur Saxon trio, as it's sort of remembered.
I like that. Almost sounds like one German word.
So the boys would travel around, they'd do their shows. They would offer a cash prize to anyone who could lift the same weights as them during the show. But they would. This is where they're sneaky, but I like it. They'd place their globe weights, sometimes partially filled, sometimes empty, in the lobbies of the theatres, and then local strongmen would come down and be like, "Oh fuck, I can lift this. What's going on? Easy done," and sort of give them confidence and encourage them to accept the challenge. Unbeknownst, they would then get filled with weights for the show, so they'd be much heavier. And then they wouldn't be able to beat the boys. So I like that.
Yeah, okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
A famous Scottish stone lifter, strongman called Donald Dinny. I've definitely heard of the Dinny Stones.
Never heard of that, but that's
Bro, we're going to look into these sort of things. We're going to do episodes on these sort of things.
Good.
This is me paraphrasing.
I thought that. I looked at it and it says possible, like you fucked up.
Oh.
Possible. And I'm like, nah, fake news. This is no way. This is from a textbook.
So I didn't. This is like not copied and pasted.
Starts talking mad
So Donald
shit.
Dinny starts talking mad shit. That's paraphrase. That the reported weights can't be true, and that Arthur couldn't possibly do these lifts that people are claiming. So Arthur's like, "Fuck you, boy! I'm coming to Scotland again." Man, he's got to travel. Maybe he's in Sheffield, so he goes to Scotland. That's not that far. Alright. A couple of hours on the train. And using old Donald Dinny's weights, bent pressed 340 pounds. 340, what's that?
315 to 140, so what are you looking at? Like
155, 160?
155. Probably.
That's fucking heinous.
That's shit.
So after talking mad shit, Donald Dinny then becomes a bit of a supporter of Arthur Saxon. He's like, nah, he's the real deal. So shout out to Donald Dinny. We'll probably do an episode on him and what's called the Dinny Stones.
And this is when you kind of like, this is where you start to look at it from a little bit of what we were just talking about as well. You know, you could argue that the whole thing that happened between Saxon and Sandow, it was like Arthur being like a dick and saying like, you do lift that and shit. Obviously, he's a pretty humble dude because he was like, nah, Mr. fucking Donald Dinny, you fucking pumped that, bro.
Yeah.
Well done. You know what I mean? So that's when you know that like there's obviously if someone lifts more than him or doesn't, he's happy to be like, yeah, man, you killed that.
Yeah.
So you know he was a good sport. He had good sportsmanship.
Yeah, that's that one I think sort of solidified it because that guy knew how heavy they were, and he was like, oh shit, and saw him do it, and he went and like, dude, that's gangster shit though. That's like, oh nah, he can't lift all that, he won't be able to do it. It's like someone saying, you won't be able to do that on the platform, and then just being like, when's the next motherfucking comp, man? I'm gonna do it, and then goes and does it.
I just want to know what the hype game was like back then. You know, when it's always trying to go for a PR on a bench press, but everyone's like, come on, Donald, you can do it!
Bend, man, bend, I say!
That fucking bar!
So from about 1908 to 1913, there's so many, when people start rattling off dates, or the internet does, it gets real, like, wait, if he did this then, how did he do this then? And like, especially when it changes location. But anyway, the trio started performing as part of the Ringling Brothers Circus. I've heard of the Ringling Brothers Circus. I feel like it's still a thing. Ringling Brothers Circus? Ringling. And they were touring the United States. Bro, United States? They had planes back then. Am I being real dumb? They wouldn't have gone on planes.
They probably did go on planes.
Planes?
I feel like they would have gone on a plane. I feel like they would have been able to go on a plane back then. Yeah, dude, they had planes. They had planes, but like, obviously they didn't.
Just saying it more doesn't make it true. They had planes.
They had planes. Planes is all they had.
Did people start traveling on planes?
Just write into Google, do they have planes? Come on. Not, surely not. I thought they had planes way earlier than that.
No, man, because think about like...
No, but in the war and shit, they had them though, didn't they? Back in like the 40s.
Yeah, this isn't even at the war yet.
Yeah, it's still pretty good, yeah.
This is before the First World War. So let's just say he goes on a boat. This is like legit Titanic times too.
Yeah.
This is Titanic times. So he goes on a boat, I assume, with the Ringling Brothers Circus. It would have to be a boat, bro. That circus would be like, we got elephants and giraffes.
Yeah, you have to be like, yeah, well actually, okay, the boat would be, that makes more sense now.
So they're on a fucking boat. They go to the United
That
States.
would have taken so long.
So long, man.
Oh my god.
So they're running through that for about 5 years, right? This is right on the eve of the old World War One. And then Arthur was dismissed around 1913, a year before that World War One started. He was dismissed for boisterous behaviour and what could be termed a slight drinking problem. Apparently they used to put away some beers while they're lifting shit.
World War One was around, so you probably wouldn't.
No, this is before it. This is before it starts kicking off.
Maybe that's why it kicked off.
So they were lifting and drinking. I read that there was some shit like they were drinking 100 beers in one sitting, all these sort of things. Like I believe he lifted these weights more than that.
There's no fucking way that one finger thing happened, dude.
Dude,
It did not happen.
I'll show you.
It didn't happen.
Just imagine it. There's no... Wait, was it here? And then bent pressed. And then... So held it here.
Oh my god.
Dude gets on top of it. And then bent presses it.
With a finger. That's not...
Wow.
There's no way. Bullshit. I call bullshit. And I call that bullshit on that and the... Maybe they drank beers and then did... I don't know. But
So should we go over like what happens towards the end of his life, or should we go over his big lifts first?
Go with the big lifts first.
Big
We should
lifts,
definitely
so-
talk about that. What are your perspectives?
There's one here they used to, I just thought this was interesting. Arthur and George Hackenschmidt, another old school dude, they both used to perform the pullover and press. So basically how they used to bench press without a bench. So it's a floor press really. But they used to, I think the pullover was like getting it to arm's length.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they hip thrusted it up or something, but they used to call the pullover and press where they would lie flat, and the pullover and push was when they could arch.
So they used to arch back then?
They used to arch,
Yeah, but they didn't have
but
to
they
have
called
their
it the
bum.
pullover and push.
They didn't have to have their bum down though, did they?
Oh fuck knows.
Like they
Who
could
knows,
just arch.
man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say. But so one, if it was strict, it was called a pullover and press, and the other one was called a pullover and push. Now I don't know if that was a pullover
There's
or
no...
like from the hips.
It'd have to be from the... Dude, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah, but I don't know if they just rolled it over their head. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting that they had the same move and they called it two different things, whether you were arching or not arching. So some of the impressive lifts
I'm gonna be on the conversion.
on the conversion. So in 1896, Arthur Saxon bent pressed 308 pounds to become the first man to press over 300 pounds.
That's 130.
Have we gone over? We need to go over what the actual bench press is. So basically, what you're going to do with a bench press, if you're doing it with a barbell, you're gonna like grab one end of the barbell and you're gonna stand it up on the other end of the barbell. So you're gonna walk yourself up the barbell sort of thing. So you push it up, it leans on one end of the barbell, and you bring it up to your shoulder.
I'm with you.
And then you get your hand in underneath, like right in the middle of the bar, and then you like tip back the other way so it's resting on your shoulder. So that part's, well, relatively easy.
It's still ill though.
It's still fucked.
It's still nice.
So because it wants to rotate too. So it ends up, when they hold it, it ends up being like back here a lot of the time. Like, you can't see me, obviously, but your hand is like behind your shoulder.
What were the accessories for these compounds?
Dude, just fucking shut up and belt wrestle me. That was the accessories. So they've got it on their shoulder, and then instead of pressing it, a bench press, the weight almost stays at the same height, and you press yourself from that sort of standing with a barbell on your shoulder position. You sort of press yourself into a laterally flexed position with like your opposite elbow on your thigh.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. I'm fucking doing it. Here.
He's doing it.
I'm moving seats. So you're like standing up like this, up, fully erect, alright? Then from there, you sort of go down. As you're going down, you're straightening your arm, so the weight's not really moving in height. It's not going above your head.
You're already up there, so why are you going back down
You're
again?
pressing yourself underneath it.
Ew! I don't like this at all.
Yeah, and then, so all of a sudden,
Fuck.
shit.
Stay focused.
Shit, focus man. All of a sudden you press yourself underneath it and you're bent over holding it above your head, and then you have to stand hard and erect after that, which Sandow couldn't do, remember? So you have to stand up after that.
And
we're gonna have to post some on the old Insta.
And what, I don't even,
You still don't know?
you just really caught me off guard. You said erect like 7 times.
Dude, well, so that's a bench press anyway.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, and how much was it? 308?
Dude, 300, yeah, 308.
So that's 139 kilograms.
Heck
Kilograms.
Another one, on December the 12th, 1905 in Stuttgart, Germany. So he's back in Germany at this point.
Obviously.
Saxon performed the following 2 lifts in official competition. 2 hands anyhow. Oh, bro, I got fucking videos here. Why didn't I just show you this instead of...
Because you've got ADD and you're all over the place.
Yeah, bro. Dude, this is nuts too. 100 kilos. Watch this shit. Look at that circus dumbbell. I feel like we want one. Look at this. So you see how it's behind him and it's sort of twisty, and it doesn't really gain height.
I don't like
He
it.
presses it up,
God.
so it doesn't really gain height, but now look at him, and he's got like anchoring off here.
And you're allowed that?
Yeah, and then he's got to stand hard. There it is. That's 100 kilos. That's bonkers, man.
Dude, oh my god, that was amazing. He thumbs up while he was doing it, then dropped it, and it
I
landed
don't know if he
perfectly
tries
back
to-
on where he picked it up.
I think he goes and weighs it. Yeah, he goes and weighs it.
Because these old circus dumbbells, they're the ones where you can unscrew the outer, right, and you can load weight to the inside.
No, I don't think so. Nah.
You sure about
Maybe. I don't know.
that? Yeah, dude, because they're the ones, they're like, look stupid, like, they usually strongmen, they look how stupid big
I
on
thought
the
they were
outside.
just fixed weights. I didn't know. So that there tells me you can fill it with something,
Yeah.
whether it's plates or whether that's full of lead
They
or...
use it in strongman stuff, and you can open it and load plates into it.
Yeah.
Or load it full of...
Oh, right. That was good though, man.
That was hectic.
Dude, that's so strong. Look at that. That's so strong.
This is where we come back to it though. What are you training with this exercise?
Just that. Just being able to put shit above your head. But put it above your head from the ground.
Surely the back position is not optimal even at all.
Wow.
Just because people don't hurt themselves doesn't mean it's alright though. Like, from your standpoint.
Just
like,
because people hurt themselves doing deadlifts.
They do. But like,
People hurt themselves doing deadlifts properly.
why do you think this exercise isn't around anymore?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because training probably went more towards doing other sports.
So you're going to say functional movements?
No, just like it was more to be faster at running, or it went less away from how much weight you can lift.
Yeah.
By the same sort of reason, the strict press went from weightlifting, whatever it used to be called. There used to just be a press as well, didn't there?
Yeah, Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah, and they just used to bend their backs and arch to fuck. And there used to be, there still might be some random federations doing like strict bicep curl.
There's a thing going on at the moment, strict bicep curls going on everywhere.
Yeah.
Doing it. But I was talking to Steve about it yesterday. He said there's still some federation in America somewhere that does instead of bench pressing, they do.
Well, I know. What's his name? The old hype dude on YouTube, CT Fletcher.
Oh yeah.
He used to do that when he was powerlifting. So that was like 1980s and early 90s, I think. There was strict bicep because I think he claimed he had the world record at some point.
At the moment, I think the world record was like 115.
Because they stand with their back against a wall or something. No, yeah. So there is some weird lifts. I'd like to see, man, it'd be great to see like Hathor and Eddie and stuff doing these sort of lifts, man. I came across that a little bit, like some arguments on some articles I saw that, you know, these sort of lifts would be great to see back in World's Strongest Man.
It'd be interesting to see what the max outs now would be, you know, considering people
Could they
strong.
match? Well, dude, the thing is, after Saxon hasn't been beaten, the weights that he's reported to have bent pressed, which have got to be near enough given that Sandow couldn't do it, given that Donald Dinny was like, yeah, that's fucking legit.
Nah, they probably fucking filled the mercury.
No, but you know,
I know what you're saying though, but I think it's probably because people don't, like you said,
people don't train it.
people don't train it, yeah.
Obviously, people are fucking using gear now. They're like,
That's what I mean,
they're like 7 foot tall and 100 kilos heavier.
This is what I'm saying. Though. Could we possibly see like, are we talking like you get like a 405 bench press from Larry Wheels? Like, you know what I mean? I'd love to see that. I'd love to know if these people could even do anything like this because it just shows that there's like different strengths. You know what I mean?
I forget his name at the moment. The log press world record holder.
Oh, Iron Bibi.
Oh, nah, the old one.
Oh.
I forget his name, old strongman. But like, you see some of the overhead presses, and you're like,
Oh, do you mean Viscous?
yeah. What's his overhead? What's his log press?
Fuck, I think it's two something.
So 440 plus
Yeah.
with a log.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if like having to bend over like that.
I think the one side
would just
thing is what
fuck
gets me.
them up. You'd have to train it really well. You wouldn't just be like, I'm going to try and max out.
Here's the thing though, what would your accessories be? That's the biggest question of all time. It's like, what would you do to help you get better at that?
Strict one arm strict presses. You would probably almost like a salt press from that bent over position.
Ugh.
Well, that's just me off the top of my head.
Oh my god.
You would do lots of obliques. I don't know.
It'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Even chuck it on a belt and trying to do it, or a belt would get in the way, maybe.
Do you reckon like some fucking weighted side?
Was that
plates or
dude wearing a
something?
belt? Yeah. Was that dude wearing a belt? Strongman belt?
I don't know. No,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, he is.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, strongman belt. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. That's what a bench press is. That's a good fucking video, man. That's 100 kilos.
That was impressive.
So, but how hard was that? And he did like another half on that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking hard. So he did a 2 hands anyhow of 448 pounds with a 336 pound barbell. All right, huge, and a 120 pound kettlebell. This is an official competition as well. So says the internet.
But the whole anyhow thing's about like you can just literally however you want.
You can put it above your head anyhow, basically. So there is a version here, which is a snatch and a kettlebell curl and press, basically. So snatch is this, which is fucking huge. I'm not sure what that is. 205 in total. So that's got to be 80 odd. And say this is a 24 maybe, or whatever.
25 and 90.
Yeah, so he curls it up, stands up, just holding that there is tough as fuck, let alone doing an overhead squat with it, and pressing. Now this is just a random video from Fatty McFatso on the internet. I'm going to give him a thumbs up, what a devil.
Yeah, straight out, shout
He's
out.
going to be like, dude,
Fatso.
I'm not one like, it's a decade old video on YouTube.
We appreciate you, man. That was interesting.
So that's a 2 hands anyhow. Should we watch another one? So you can snatch it. I'd suggest that after bench press, the first weight, most of these CrossFit looking dudes are snatching it. and then doing a kettlebell curl and press. I've done this version. I've actually watched this video before with 2 kettlebells. So you curl one up, curl that one up, stand up and press it. So this isn't a bad exercise, and then you come down and swap over on the other side. I like this exercise when I was doing lots of kettlebells. So that was my first introduction to a 2 hands anyhow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so reportedly was a gun at that as well. So this is the big one. Well, there's 2 big ones here. On January, so this is where the dates sort of get me up. So January 28th, 1906 in London, Thomas Inch, who's another strongman, we might do an episode on. We might do an episode on lots of these dudes. Watched Saxon bench press 353 pounds 6 separate times in a boxing ring, but could not stand erect. So he bench pressed it, but couldn't stand back up with it. All right, 353. Then, 5 months later, at Apollo School in London, Bill Klein, don't know who the fuck Bill Klein is, but they witnessed and weighed a bench press of 386 pounds. So that's the big one. 386 pounds.
And Bill said it was all good.
Bill Klein and 3 other, and so there were 3 witnesses, and the weight was weighed. There's chat that all 3 Saxon brothers could get 400 to arm's length, but couldn't stand with it.
Jesus, that is.
What's 400? 170.
Yeah.
Around
Well,
170.
Isn't 405 180? So that's like 170. 400's like 175.
Fuck, right.
Yeah, no.
So some hectic stuff there. Are you saying erroneous to those claims?
To those ones?
To 386 bench pressed.
Is there any...
What's 386?
386.
Did we figure it out? 386 divided by 2.2. 175.
Yeah.
That's fucked. That's
I
hectic.
don't think I believe it.
I would believe more around like the 140.
I believe that 100%, but it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think because for a start, and we will obviously be getting to that once we talk about how big he was. That's the reason I.
Well, that's the next point, man.
Yeah.
5'10", average. That's average height, right?
Yeah.
5'10", like taller than Troy,
Not hard.
and weighed around 90 kilos.
90, dude. So you're telling me this motherfucker was 90 kilos and he what?
Less than both of us.
So yeah, so he picked
He's
up.
also been billed as the strongest man in the world at this point in time. So
Crazy difference.
let's not compare him to us because we're not the strongest.
I mean, you didn't really have to bring that up. I was pretty happy living in like the world where I am. Alright.
But he's not huge. He's not gifted genetically in terms of like
I
size.
would not say he's big at all. Like, when you see photos of him, he's not very big at all.
No.
Like, he's really not that big. So, but 90 kilograms, you're telling me he what? So I know he didn't stand erect with it, but even the 386, right?
No, he did stand erect with 386.
No, the 400 is what
Yeah,
I was getting at,
400.
because 400 is double body weight, right?
Yeah.
So I do not believe that he was
So
able to
bonkers,
get that
eh?
above his head, man. And then even the fact that he didn't press it, like just the fact that he even
Most 90 kilo people, average 90 kilo people can't deadlift that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, and he definitely didn't look like he was on anything. Like, I mean, what?
They can't be on shit, bro. It hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah, but dude, I'm sure there
They're
was like a plant or something that people were like,
No, because we would be on it now.
You reckon?
Their diet was apparently a lot of eggs, so about 8 eggs, lots of about a pound of bacon, they reckon, lots of butter. So it's just a real calorie dense food.
No wonder they all.
But they would train up to sort of 4 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Jesus, okay.
Heavy a lot of the time. So moving on to that, there's 2 books actually written as well by Arthur Saxon. I want to get my hands on them. He published The Development of Physical Power in 1905. And then he published in 1910 the Textbook of Weightlifting. And the covers for those books are fucking amazing. Let's have a gaze at them. Arthur Saxon. I've already Googled this because I wanted to find a Rigiditch copy, but yeah, there isn't any. you cannot buy them. But look at, maybe you can, someone's got one. Look at that. That is, dude, if you can buy this, how much should I buy it for? Look at that.
Whoa.
It's like a relic, bro.
Yeah, wow.
I like it. What else have we got?
Dude.
There he is.
$1 shilling. Look at that.
The textbook of weightlifting. And then underneath, the strongest man in the world. This must have been before he was sued. The strong mustache. So yeah, a couple of books.
That's what I mean. Like when you look at the physical development of him, he had not a bad physique.
Oh, definitely a good physique. Like,
Yeah. But
this one's here. That is the other. I think that's the other cover. But like,
Yeah, wow.
like he looks jacked.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Not strongest man in the world, Jax. Like you imagine putting
Yeah,
a
but-
hip next to Eddie Hall. Like,
Yeah, but-
you know what I mean? Like, it's completely different, obviously. But I just think it's funny that in that it hasn't. I know this sounds so silly, but it hasn't been that long. Like when you
it
think,
really hasn't.
It hasn't been.
It hasn't been that long.
No.
I'd like to see if, like, back in the day, there was those sort of freaks that were like known, like village-wide and or like worldwide, and oh, the guy is nearly 7 foot. But do you reckon they just were like donked people on the head? They didn't actually have like a training ethic, or you know what I mean? They were just like, I'm the big guy, and I was just born big, and
Pretty much, 100%. That's what would happen.
because like, where's the sort of one? Even then, like, if you're above 6 foot, these dudes are like old world small though, aren't they? Like, were people big back then? I feel like it wasn't that long ago. They were still like
Google
some
once again.
decent 6 footers and shit.
6 footers. I'm interested to know.
I feel like people were small like 500 years ago.
Yeah, like longer than average height, 1800s, if it comes up.
But I feel like there's a big difference between 1810 and 1890.
Oh yeah.
But I suppose that's like 1910 and 1990. Dude, that's loose as well though.
Well, yeah, that's it. So.
What's the average height similar or what?
So the average height was about 100 and. So where's he from? Germany?
Saxony, sir?
Saxony, but Germany.
Why do I
right?
say it like that?
I don't know. I like
Saxon.
keep saying it like that, but it's Germany, right?
Yeah.
So in Germany, the average height was 167 centimeters back then.
Fuck.
Which
That's
is-
pretty small.
It's pretty. That's like smaller than Troy. Is that smaller than Troy?
Ah, yeah. Nah, don't think it is.
Yes. Get a tape measure. Troy, come in.
Anyway, so yeah, it's not physically huge, but I wonder if there was those big dudes, like, get them trained and see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean,
Surely someone who's got 20 kilos on him and the same sort of work ethic is going to be stronger than him.
I mean,
that's what I'm
find
saying.
out how big Donald Denny was, because he's fucking obviously pretty strong, and he, you know what I mean?
I think he was a bigger bully.
Yeah, he seems to be bigger.
So anyway, that's some of the feats that he's done. We're going to get through some, well, it gets a little bit depressing here. So World War One breaks out. It's not safe to be a German in Britain, apparently. So the boys leave England. Kurt and Herman were drafted into the German military. Arthur wasn't drafted because he was blind in one eye. Do you reckon he's stoked or not?
Fucking plot twist.
Plot twist.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, where'd that come from?
Oh my god.
Maybe that's why he liked the bench press so much, and he was real like he could see it as he was looking up or
Because
something.
he couldn't do it on his left side. He's
Yeah,
blind.
I wonder if they did. No, they did do presses both sides. They trained both sides,
Okay.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They were big on it. So, do you reckon he's stoked or not stoked that he's drafted? Do you reckon, like back in the day, they're like, I shall fight for the flag?
Yeah.
They're all old-timey English people as well, even though they're German.
Shall fight for my kingdom.
I shall fight for the kingdom of Saxon.
I think we're going back
Oh,
earlier.
Prussia.
Like we were expecting it to be like the Oh,
Dude, do you reckon he was stoked though? Because I feel like back in the day, people were like trying to go to war.
Yeah,
And
no.
they're like, oh, I was like 12 years old and I was like, no, fuck you, man, I'll go to war.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he probably would have been upset. Yeah, I feel like it would have. But then at the same time,
Sweet, not gonna die.
seeing the war, was probably
Yeah.
like,
But this is other shit, man. So Arthur's in, he's like, oh, can't be in the war. Let's just say, yes, stoked, mad. So he goes to Scandinavia. Stoked, bro. He goes to Scandinavia, Denmark, Norway, because these are the countries that will actually take German entertainers. So meanwhile, Germany, this is a paraphrase, is getting fucked on. Everyone's sick, starving, dying, and doing war shit. That was not that paraphrased. All right.
But it was still pretty close.
Yeah. How the fuck, dude? Like, so he left Britain, right? The logistics of this. I can't plan a trip down south. He left Britain, right? They're like, get out, you know, scummy Germans. So he gets out, and then he's like, oh, bro, can't go into the war. The war's popping off. His brother's like, we can, bitch. They reckon he's a bitch, 100%.
100%.
So he's like, well, I can't. I'm going to go to Scandinavia. There's a fucking world war going on. How do you get to Scandinavia?
This is the hard part.
Again, it probably takes a month.
We've established that they're not getting there by plane. So...
What? They're going to take a boat. There's a... Nah. Oh, you know, Germany, they'll get a boat. There's like that, what's that bay? There's a bay there. There's a bay there that goes into like towards Russia.
Yeah,
but then Scandinavia's on the other side.
Do you reckon Arthur just had a mate from high school who just owned a submarine and just bought a lift? You
So
know what I mean?
somehow he gets to Scandinavia in the middle of the fucking World War One. Jesus. As this is going on, as we sort of study the history, we lose contact with him because there's no magazines being printed, no real evidence of what was going on, just war shit, basically.
I mean, I'm assuming that whole time he was travelling, you know, and there's probably no check-in at the airport when there's a world war.
No, I don't think you have. Yeah, when did they invent passports?
Yeah, I don't think he was getting any one of them stamps.
Did you need a passport back then? You just turn up from like, where the fuck are you from?
Pretty much.
Why are you brown? Up until his death certificate, basically. So they sort of lose track of him up until his death certificate, which states his, this is sad to me, it states his occupation as a stonemason, not as a strongman or entertainer.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't see it as a form of occupation, but he was
He's
getting
kind of
paid.
getting recognised as one now.
Like
really.
5 years ago, he was in the circus doing strongman shit, getting paid, drinking beers, having a laugh. Having too much of a laugh.
You know what it was like back then, man? It was like honourable,
Are you saying honourable?
Honourable, jobs and that were like if someone was a tailor back then, you were like a high-end dude.
You should have said what did he do, man? Strongest man in the
no
world.
shit, you're the strongest man in the world.
Beat up
what are you doing?
Beater of Sandow.
I'm a stonemason.
Yeah. So he ends up dying at the age of 43 from tuberculosis. Rough.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what got everyone. It was just tuberculosis and bombs.
The healthcare system wasn't
Just bombs and tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Good news is, here's some good news. Here's some good news, and then bad news. His brothers survive.
Boom.
So his brother Herman starts teaching in Leipzig.
Wait, both of his brothers survived?
Both of his brothers survived, and they were in the fucking military.
So them two motherfuckers went to war, he stayed behind, and he died.
He didn't stay behind, he went to
we went to
Scandinavia.
yeah.
So he bailed, but then he somehow catches the I'm going to call it the losis. The losis, alright?
I feel like that's, yeah.
Disrespectful.
A little insensitive, but yeah, that's fine.
He catches the losis.
The losis. Tubular.
The tuberculosis. Bro. So his brothers survive, and Herman starts teaching in Leipzig, back in his hometown. Even opens his own gym. What a legend.
That's awesome.
Mad.
Yeah.
Guess what happens? World War II, bro, gets blown up.
Oh, that's
I know. Fucking rough.
Yeah.
Apparently Kurt survived as well, and for some fucking unbeknownst reason, wanted to get back into East Germany, which is not where you wanted to be. That's the wrong way. And then went there and went to go back to East Germany, and they're like, nah, bro, we built a wall. Fuck off. And that's sort of the end of what you hear about him.
Wow.
So to sum it all up, man, the thing that makes Arthur Saxon great is obviously his strength. Let's hope that he did all those lifts. Let's hope that they actually happened, because that's fucking sick. And he's remembered for a reason. 100 and whatever years later, I'm reading this out on a podcast about him saying that he did it. So even if he didn't and it was fudged 50 kilos in one direction, it's still pretty sick.
I think it's the kind of thing, and this is kind of a deep way to look at it, but it's like when you watch. I'm getting super deep in here. Like when you watch a movie, man, there's like a happy ending. You don't sit there and try to think of all the negative things that could happen, right? You don't try to like they probably weren't even happy. That's probably bullshit. Those kids probably died. Like you don't think that. You think, oh man, like you leave thinking that's what happened. So rather than sitting here trying to be like that was bullshit, even though I said that. I'd rather see it.
But
like,
if it was bullshit,
why would it make it this far as well? Like at some point in history, someone would be like, no.
So he did some heinous shit at one point that apparently the world's strongest man couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever weight it actually was, because like specifics of what things weighed, like how did they calibrate scales back then? You can start getting to like that much of like nitpicking.
Yeah.
So whatever the fuck it was heavy as shit for the strongest people. Donald Dinny. The other strongest people in history were like, dude, this guy's legit.
Mm-hmm.
He beat one of them, so much so that dude had a fucking sad and ran to the courts about it. Some other dude was like, bullshit, so he went to his house and lifted his weights, proved to him. So the actual specifics of the numbers don't really matter that much, but he did some fucking cool, amazing shit that stood the test of time. The other thing was he's willing to compete against anyone, and even himself, like he was like, let's go, who wants a challenge? Yeah, they around with the globe weights and added weight to them afterwards, but they added weight.
Yeah,
they didn't lift fake weights. They were like, oh, you can lift that, that's cool, we can lift that and some.
Yeah.
And you might think you're strong, we're stronger.
Yeah, but I think the kind of thing about it is well, you got to look at it from a different perspective. Like at the moment, and there's a lot of stuff going on with it now with the old pro athlete. When things like now, you can get away with it more. Because everything can be on video, so you can get as long as you like now you can make something look legit, and then people can speculate all they want, but because it's on video, no one can say anything. Back then, all he had was his reputation, and everybody would watch you in person. So someone could just walk up and fucking lift it in front of you.
Apparently that's one of the things he's remembered as one of the first strongmen to sort of this time to let people weigh his weights, whether that's weighing it correctly or whatever. But they know like normally it weighs this, and this one weighs this much. And this is fucking heavy. Especially in a time where people were doing sneaky shit and lying about what they were lifting. So, mate, that is Arthur Saxon. I reckon we've done a fucking good job of our first little podcast like that.
I'm very impressed, mate. I think it's good. I think the good thing about it is that you don't get because obviously there's going to be a lot of details specifically because, and this is probably going to happen with a lot of them, because of the time periods, there's going to be a lot of shit that was happening at the same time that you kind of don't want to get too caught up in because it's not really
to do with them as a person. Like I did too much research on this, and hopefully I figure out a bit of a more refined way to do this so we can do some episodes like this that don't take me as much time to prepare for.
Yeah, but at least you probably learn a lot about history.
Oh, dude, now I know about this guy. Someone will bring someone, we'll be like, what about Arthur Saxon? They'll be like, who's Arthur Saxon? And I say, well, I'll tell you what, that liar, that heinous fraud Sandow.
Sandow's a bitch.
And they'll be like, no, Arthur Sandow. And everyone's going to back him up, and now people will be able to say, you didn't listen to Smith's Fitness podcast because Arthur Saxon's the boy.
He's the boy.
Yeah, so there it is, guys. Fuck, do we have anything else to talk about?
I think that's
I'm pretty pumped on that, man. Like I said, thank you for joining me. I think it went well. It wasn't too much of me reading.
I think it was good. Like the way that you've broken it down. I think that definitely needs to be the way to go about it, where you're kind of hitting points and then moving on.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can get way too caught up in it, and also, I think you covered like the good thing that you did is obviously speaking about his brothers too. Because that's another thing too, like if you had just covered him, it would have been kind of hard to do so without at least speaking about the people around him.
Yeah.
And also when you spoke about, obviously, like Donald Dinny as well, putting things like him into perspective also complemented the whole Eugene side of it and stuff. Like I said to you, like, Eugene claimed he lifted it, didn't, and then you've got obviously the backstory of Donald Dinny.
Yeah, someone else with a reputation.
Exactly. So, and then by the end of this thing, it'll be cool because in a way it's like the Marvel universe now. Like everyone's going to be tying into each other because all these dudes.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, I mean.
Just shuts it down.
I'm not going to lie. I've seen all 19 of them, but I wish I had.
I have Disney Channel now though.
And you probably still won't watch them.
No, I won't.
Definitely. Stay away from Ant-Man, definitely. But anyway, right. The point is when you start doing them, obviously you said you might even do one on Donald Dinny, so it's going to be cool to see how all their stories tie in with each other.
Yeah, we've got a whole heap to do that I want to do on some more recent strongmen. I want to go over like history of the deadlift world record, lots of different things that we can do that is sort of up our alley, and we're still going to do the the shit talking and we went to a competition and this is what we're doing at the moment sort of stuff. But I feel like this is right up our alley. It seems through my searches on Apple Podcasts and stuff that this hasn't really been done before. And you know, a lot of people, and I'm into them myself, like you'll have them on historical figures or even like serial killers and like that sort of stuff, like true crime sort of thing, where they profile a person and go over them.
Yeah.
No one's sort of done it on athletes or especially strength athletes, so I think we can sort of do a few episodes here and there where we do go over them. And it was fun. Like I said, I learned a lot. So
Definitely.
hopefully you guys did too. Guys, share the podcast, let everyone know about it. Do all those cool things for us. If you've listened this far, thank you very, very much. As always, best way to support the podcast is to just cruise down to the gym, start training at Smith's Fitness.
Peace out.
Peace.